Namaste, welcome to the Group 1 Services guidance classes conducted by 𝗳𝗧. Everyone knows 𝗳𝗧 is conducting the Group 1 Services guidance classes in all the contexts. So, in this scenario, in the prelims examination, for the preparation of prelims examination, there are 13 contexts and we have so many sub-themes among it. Out of 13 contexts, we have social inclusion is one of the concepts. So, in this, so many sub-concepts are there. We discussed about these sub-concepts with Professor 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 madam. So, she explained in point of examination how we are going to prepare it, because it's when you compare with the other concepts like Telangana geography, Telangana history, Indian polity, analytical reasoning, logical reasoning, all these current affairs, if you take all these, so they have a sequential order, importance is given to the context, and we can explain with so many strategies, but the social inclusion is a vast thing. At the same time, a lot of possibility to ask very twisty questions in the examination. So, we are taking the support from the very expert in this field, Professor 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 madam. Welcome for this conversation. So, I am expecting a lot of from your side to give information how our aspirants is going to prepare to get maximum marks from this examination.
Sure,
okay.
sir.
And this here, today we are going to discuss about the inclusive policies.
Right.
Okay. So, before going to discuss about the inclusive policies, what are inclusive policies? Why these inclusive policies are, why you called these policies as inclusive policies? What is the reason behind it?
In fact, this concept inclusion is linked with social exclusion. There are so many communities because of their vulnerability, like let us say minorities or persons belonging to certain communities. In our country, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, or because of gender, race. So, these communities are not having any access to the opportunities, or they are not able to participate. So, when people belonging to these communities or excluded groups are not able to participate, there is a onus, burden on the government, on the state, that various opportunities should be provided for them so that they can participate in all developmental activities. So, here three aspects we usually take into consideration when we talk about inclusion, that is availability, access and participation. These are the three aspects. This is very important. The reason is the pattern of questions in Group 1 prelims is more or less civil services examinations. So, many times we come across questions where certain statements will be given, whether these statements are correct or not. Such questions will be given, or sometimes a kind of match the following or pairs also will be given.
So, according
these words are
according to you that so the statements is all the aspirant has to prepare the statement properly.
Yes,
they have to understand it.
They have to understand.
So, here one of the statement which is given from the reliable sources, what is social inclusion here?
Right.
So, social inclusion is the process of improving the terms in which individual and groups take part in society, improving the ability, opportunity and dignity of those disadvantaged on this basis of their identity.
Yes.
So, this is the actual definition from the given books about the social.
European Union has given this definition for social inclusion.
Okay.
So, a kind of question can be expected. Say for instance, the first statement may say social inclusion is a process. And the second statement may be social inclusion is exclusively for disadvantaged groups. Here we are talking about the identity problem. Some of the people are identified as disadvantaged or marginal people. Then another statement may be given in a tricky way, saying that because of only gender or caste or community, some groups are identified as disadvantages. So, this statement will become a wrong statement because it is not the only three aspects. There are so many other aspects also. Say for instance, a person who is a refugee or people who migrate from one place to another place, even they are also considered as marginal people and they are also having so many disadvantages. So, a student or aspirant is expected to see the gist or quintessence of the statement, and accordingly he has to choose whether a particular statement is correct or not.
Okay, according to the definition or gist of this statement, so which people are the group comes under the disadvantaged group?
If we see T.K. ฎ,
Okay.
who wrote an authentic book on social exclusion in India, understanding social exclusion and inclusion,
Okay.
he has identified some 9 categories of people.
Okay.
Dalits, women, people from north eastern area. Once upon a time we used to say northeastern frontier area.
Okay.
I prefer to use that word. The reason is, though some of the states are not eastern area, but some other areas also include there. Scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, migrants or immigrants. So like this, all these 9 categories of people are identified as excluded groups.
Okay.
So these excluded groups are termed as disadvantaged groups.
Okay.
Why this is? Because we are not having any definition in our country exclusively for social exclusion or inclusion.
Yeah.
We talk about inclusive policies or social exclusion. If we take, sometimes even this also important, the theoretical aspect, Amartya Sen, who has propounded a capability approach or capability theory, it is known as. So he talks about deprivation. If capabilities are not there to participate, if a community or an individual is deprived from participating, then that particular person or that particular group is an excluded one. So there is a need to include them.
Okay.
So like that, an aspirant is expected to see various definitions for that.
Yeah, here the European Union working definition for the social inclusion, I will give the statement, just you have to give the clarification to our aspirants.
Sure.
The social inclusion is a process which ensures that those at risk of being left out gain opportunities and resources necessary to participate fully in economic, social, political and cultural life and enjoy a standard of well-being that is considered normal in the society in which they live it. Ensure that they have a voice in decisions which affect their lives and access to markets, public services and their fundamental rights.
Right.
So, this is a definition exactly given by the European Union for working definition for the social inclusion.
Yes.
So, after this knowing about this statement, can you add something to say in point of examination?
Yeah, I would like to add here. An aspirant is expected to analyze this particular definition.
Okay.
We were talking about identity, participation and all those things. Here, a person whoever is not able to participate, then we are calling that person as an excluded person. But where he is not able to participate, it is a kind of critical questioning skill which is, an aspirant is required. Fundamental rights, we usually describe them as Bill of Rights when we talk about American Constitution, or fundamental rights in our country as per our Constitution. Some of the fundamental rights, though we are having on paper, but some people are not able to have them in reality, then those people are excluded group. Let me make a statement. A particular category of people, because of derogatory cultural practices, are not able to exercise certain fundamental rights like practicing their own cultural items or having right to life or right to liberty or right to shelter or right to vote. So, if such statement is there, then the examiner would like to see whether an aspirant is able to analyze the concept of social exclusion or not.
Okay, yeah. The Professor T.K. ฎ in his book.
Yes.
Social exclusion is independent India dimensions and approaches identified and 9 categories of excluded people in varying degrees in contemporary India. So, as you said just now, so those are 9 categories as you said.
Yes.
Dalits, Adivasis, OBCs means other backward castes, cultural minorities means religious and linguistic minorities, women, refugees, means foreigners or outsiders, Northeast India people, and the poor and the disabled. These are the 9 categories or comes under this social exclusion according to the TK women.
According to TK women, yes.
This is a very important thing for a point of examination, correct?
Right.
So, how many categories are there for these disadvantaged people?
Yes.
So, what are those? Or identify which group will comes under the disadvantaged group, like the questions may come, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And one more thing I would like to add here. Say for instance, just now when we were talking about Professor TK women, we talked about minorities, linguistic minorities or religious minorities.
Okay.
Usually when we see the census, Hindus are majority, next comes Muslims, Christians, Parsis, like that. But Hindus are minorities in some of the parts of our own country. So a question may be given where Hindus are considered as minorities.
Okay.
Though it is not exactly there in TK women's classification, but aspirant is expected to know. For instance, in Lakshadweep, Hindu population is compared to Muslims and other communities is less. So there Hindus are considered as minorities.
Yeah.
Similarly, even in Punjab also Sikhs are majority and Hindus are minority.
Okay.
Similarly, Nagaland, Christians are majority and Hindus are minority. So when the examiner would like to test whether an aspirant would be able to understand this or not, a question may be given like that on the basis of some kind of statistics. What is the percentage of minority groups in a particular state or like that?
Yeah. So here the minority is not the universalized term.
No.
So
not.
it varies. It varies.
It varies.
So it depends on the population of the people.
Add here.
Yeah.
TK women talks about the degree of exclusion.
Okay.
All are excluded, no doubt, but the percentage of exclusion varies from one community to or one category to another, and from one place to another, and one situation to another. For instance, let us say women. When we talk about women and women coupled with caste, so Dalit women are more excluded than non-Dalit women. Okay. So here varying degree is there. Similarly, if we take rural and urban divide, urban population are facing a particular set of problems and rural population also are facing a particular set of problems. So the aspirant is tested to use his critical questioning skills, saying that so and so problem is mainly rural problem. So there he should understand whether exclusion is linked with that particular problem exclusively from rural area or it is a general one. Okay. Such questions also an aspirant may get.
Okay. So what are the steps to create inclusive society?
In fact, TK women talks about 4 different categories like participation or freedom or democracy, equality, these aspects are there.
Okay.
So on these grounds, different activities our government or state is taking up, not only in our country, but all over the world we are taking.
Okay. So here I am going to give the information about the steps to create inclusive society. That is by institutional political pluralism through a multi-party democracy and effective devolution of politics power through real federalism.
Right.
And introducing a regime of nomination of macro and micro levels.
Right.
Wherever the needed. And the third, by abandoning center peripheral distinctions. And fourth one is elitism by caste hierarchy.
Right.
So these are the 4 steps for creating the inclusive society.
Inclusive society.
Okay.
Let me take step by step.
Okay.
The first and foremost one, of course, in our country we are having multi-party system only, political parties. But still some parties are termed as national level parties, some are regional level parties. We also have caste-based and religion-based parties also.
Okay.
But here right to association is a fundamental right. So what TK women is saying is whether we are having this right to association available to all persons or not.
Yeah.
This is very much needed. For instance, until 1994, a particular community, now we are calling them after National Legal Services Authority judgment, we are calling them as LGBT or third gender. They were not given any voting right.
Yes,
So
yes.
when they were not given any voting right, along with that, right to association or right to having their own political party also was not available for them.
Okay.
Whereas others were having. So here a question may be given, a particular community, whether they are able to have their own political party or not, firstly. And second one is, when we talk about multi-party system, we are also talking about federalism. That is, each and every part of the country, without having any regional imbalances, participating in political activities, because political participation is a basis or a pillar for democracy.
Yes, yes.
If all are not participating, then we cannot have any, comprehensive democracy.
Yes, yes.
This TK women wanted to. But in order to have this, what can we do? We are having casteism. We are having caste-based inequalities. So caste is based upon hierarchical system of in our Indian society.
Yes.
So there are upper caste, lower caste, or middle class, and all these are having status differences. So in order to have inclusion, all people, whether they belong to X or Y or Z caste, they must be able to have access to various opportunities. And here comes a center peripheral differences. Even now, we are having this. Say for instance, people who are having access to, let us say, national capital or state capital are more political socialized, whereas people who are living further areas to the capital cities are having less political socialization.
Okay.
For instance, a person living in a tribal belt area may not be having much political socialization. He may not be or she may not be having access, forget about access, awareness of various schemes which our state has started. So a question may be given, so and so area people, are they aware of a particular scheme or not?
Okay.
For instance, nowadays we are having so many schemes, so funds are there. Let me take a simplest example. We are having Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, under which at least a minimum 100 days employment should be provided. But these details may not be available to a person who is living in a remote area. The link is, in order to apply for this Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee,
Yes, yes.
a job card is necessary.
Yes.
Where to get the job card? Unless and until a person is aware of the procedure to get a job card, he will not be able to have any benefit from this. So here the question is, that is the reason TK woman says, varying degrees of exclusion and inclusion.
Okay.
So here, in order to test the critical questioning skills of an aspirant, questions may be given on these terms.
Okay. As you discussed now, that is, there are 4 steps for the creating an inclusive society, correct?
Right.
Like
right.
we have 4 aspects of inclusion.
Right.
So can you share that? What are the 4 aspects for the inclusion?
Before going into this 4 aspects, I would like to request the aspirants to remember, whenever we talk about inclusion, we should remember certain words. The first and foremost one is equity and equality.
Okay.
The second one is freedom.
Okay.
Nobody should impose any restrictions unnecessarily, illegally.
Okay.
Then the third one is democratic setup. And the fourth one is natural principles of justice, equity, good conscience, we say. So if a student or an aspirant remembers these points, then it will be very easy to answer any question given on the basis of these 4 approaches or 4 methods, which are explained by Professor TK Women in order to describe social inclusion.
Okay. So, 4 aspects of inclusion, I will say in another mode.
Yes.
That is opportunities and well-being is the first aspect. Access to public and private resources, second one. Participation and voice in multiple spheres, the third one, rights.
Right.
So, these are the 4 aspects. So, as per TK Women, so
Yes,
correct?
right.
And you said in a different mode.
In a different mode.
Yes.
Because sometimes Professor TK Women's name may not be given.
Yes.
The gist will be taken.
Okay.
So that is the reason it is better the aspirant remembers a kind of, what can I say, mnemonics.
Yes, yes. Like what are the goals of inclusive policies?
Even here also we can identify 4 different goals of
Yeah.
inclusion,
Yeah.
particularly inclusive
So for the aspirants,
policies.
it's a very simple also. That is,
Yes.
they have 4 steps of creating the inclusive society.
Yes.
There are 4 aspects for the inclusives, and there are 4 goals
Right.
of inclusive policies.
Right.
So 4. They
Yes.
can remember 4, then they know all these things here.
Yes.
The freedom, equality, democracy, recognition.
Recognition.
So
yes.
all these 4 are the 4 goals for the inclusive policies.
Yes.
So
The aspirant may expect a questions not directly on these concepts.
okay.
So what type of measures are taken by the state in our country in order to fulfill these 4 goals, whether it is freedom or equality and all those things.
Okay.
For instance, providing employment to all persons. So here we are talking about the participation.
Okay.
Similarly, group-based or community-based schemes are there. If women are there, we have created a kind of fund that
Okay.
is Mahila Kosh. So here what we are doing is we are taking one particular group into consideration and we are trying our level best to include them. So like that a student, if throws some light on various activities linked with these 4 goals, then that will be easier for any aspirant to prepare.
Okay.
We can identify these also. We can
Okay.
identify a variety of programs.
Yeah. So actually, there are some employment guarantee schemes.
Right.
So the first one is National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005.
Right.
So we call it as NREGA number
Yes.
42. So here NREGA, what is the full form of NREGA is also a very important
Expansion.
for expansion. Means NREGA means National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So it is given in 2005.
Right.
Was later this one as renamed. The NREGA is renamed as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act.
Right.
So means MGNREGA. So means here NREGA only previously. So MG is added. You have to understand it is MG is added. That is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So according to this act, when you consider that, it is a right to, it's a guarantee and right to work for that. At least we have to provide 100 days of wages to employment. So as you said earlier, it aims to enhance livelihood security in rural areas by providing at least 100 days of wages employment in a financial year to every household whose adult member volunteered to do unskilled manual work. So this is very important. Everyone knows it. It's giving a minimum employment scheme for all the rural people. So it is unskilled manual work. So that is a minimum number of days is 100.
100 days.
So out of 365 days, so they will get employment work for 100 days.
100 days.
So this question is very important. So how many days minimum guarantee for the employment work means 100 days, and which act it is? NREGA Act of 2005, and the NREGA Act is renamed as MGNREGA. So all these questions comes in the exams, maybe expected questions.
I would like to add some more points for this.
Okay.
Particularly when we talk about food security and all that, livelihood programs and all that. Not only 100 days work and all that, but what is the objective of introducing this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act?
Okay.
That is, infrastructural aspects, infrastructural framework is needed for social inclusion. And infrastructural framework means having roads or various facilities, and they are also termed as assets. So this Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee schemes, one of the objectives is to have assets in rural areas. So these assets in turn act as a capital for further development of economic opportunities. Then where to get funds for this? An aspirant may be asked to think about this also. where are we going to get? Because if 100 days employment is to be provided, it is a wage employment.
Okay.
Wages should be given. Not to that. If we see the enactment, if a person could not get any employment even after applying, after 15 days of the application, then some kind of compensation is to be paid to that particular person.
Okay.
So, even this also is, but from where are we going to get funds? National Investment Fund is there, and this National Investment Fund partially finances Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee.
Okay. So, here the employment guarantee scheme, you know, so there are some conditions. What
Conditions
are the,
also,
the conditions? So, generally, these conditions are durable assets. They will spend on durable assets.
Yes.
Durable assets means like roads, canals, ponds, wells. So, to repair all these things here.
Yes.
And it should be, if an applicant is apply for this employment guarantee scheme for it, so that work should be very nearer to him. The minimum distance from his house is 5 kilometers.
5 kilometers.
And it has to give minimum 100 days employment for him.
Right.
These two are very, very important. And he has to get, after applying it, he has to get that work within 15 days.
Right.
These things are very, very important. So, within 15 days, that's the first thing. And just 5 kilometers, not more than 5 kilometers away from his home, second one. And it should be on durable cases, means like roads, canals, ponds, wells, repairing all these things here.
Right.
So, these are the things about.
Here I would like to add 2 more aspects for Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment.
Okay.
One is the concept of household.
Okay.
There, of course, in the enactment we said adult person, but the entire program is based upon a household. So, what is a household? The concept also is important from the viewpoint of the examination. And the second one is, what about the working of this particular program? For how many days a particular state or the entire country is able to provide employment to the rural areas?
Yeah,
because
before going to share that,
I'm going data also is important.
Yeah, I am going to share some more information in point of examination. The pre-𝗳-𝗏 employment based programs are, there are 2, that is National Rural Employment Program, that is called NREP. It is established in 1980-89.
Right.
This program is pre-𝗳-𝗏 program. And one more, that is Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, RLEGP, that is between 1983 and 89. So, these 2 are very, very important. What are the pre-𝗳-𝗏 programs? The first one is National Rural Employment Program, that is NREP. The duration is 1980 to 89. And one more is Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, that is RLEGP. It is on 1983-89, correct? So, these 2 you have to remind, and in point of examination, they may ask what is the pre-employment based programs to 𝗳-𝗏.
Right.
So, anyway, so we discussed all these things here. So, for as a social inclusives, and now what are the different programs given by them, our government, how they are implemented, all these things are you explained very well, madam. So, in point of examination, all have to discuss things, not only after this base preparing on this session. So, take your text, of course, information from the reference books and collect the information in a chronological order, make it into like synopsis, and prepare for the examination, in a proper way. I hope everyone can prepare well. So, thank you, madam, for giving a valuable information about these inclusive policies. Thank you.
Thank you.